Okay, everybody. We hot? We hot?
Test.
Thank you. Okay, before we bring up Mayor Guardian, Gary wants me to remind everybody who's a member of the MBCA board that we have a board meeting on Thursday, January 19th at 5:30 at Gordon Ramsay's at Caesars. Anybody can go at 5:30 there, but the board will be meeting there, so I want to make that clear. Okay. Got quiet real quick, Mayor. A few words came to mind while drafting Mayor Guardian's introduction. The press of Atlantic City wrote today that his speech was going to focus on resiliency, so I couldn't use that. But passion, persistence, and fortitude continue to stand out from my notes. Passion because you will meet no other individual who wears his emotion and love for this city other than Don Guardian. Persistence for the strong continuance in a course of action in spite of external opposition. And last, fortitude, the mental and emotional strength in facing difficulty and adversity with courage. It brought to mind a passage found in Teddy Roosevelt's speech, The Man in the Arena, from 1910. Strive to do the deeds who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause. When he was elected mayor of Atlantic City, he found his worthy cause. Ladies and gentlemen, Atlantic City Mayor Don Guardian.
So thank you very much. Before I begin, I have to tell you two things. One is the first thing that crossed my mind last week is I'm thinking about Amy at the Inquirer and Chris at the Press and Harry Hurley over at WPG and Don and Barbara and Bob and Scott over at O&D. What the hell would you guys be talking about if it wasn't for Atlantic City? I mean, you'd be writing recipes on blueberry pies? I mean, it would be absolutely boring. Nobody listening or buying your paper. So if 16 was bad for you, it certainly was good for them. And then I have to tell you, the other thing that crossed my mind is, Louis and I always say, if we didn't have the jobs we had now, what would be like the fun job to have? And, you know, it always was a policeman or a firefighter. I mean, you hang around the firehouse. We're thinking, you know, not being firefighters, it's like a frat house. You eat good food, you save people, you save houses, everybody loves you. And then, of course, the state met with them last week, and so Louis and I are thinking that we don't want to be firemen or policemen anymore. So let's just look at the first slide. That's the obvious. That's why the trouble is here in Atlantic City. You divide the two numbers, you'll get to almost 70%. We lost 60% of our ratables, meaning 68% of the taxes didn't come in. Really tough time. Did it happen everywhere else in the United States? Yeah, but it took 40 or 50 years. The Philadelphia, the Pittsburgh, the New York City, they lost their manufacturing, but over 5 decades, not over 3 or 4 years. So that's really the tough time, what we faced. Can I get next slide? I'm going to talk about resiliency. The first two items up there tells you what resiliency should be. But resiliency is really getting healthy again after 5 casinos closed in the last 3 years. Next slide, please. Just not quite working. Yeah. So the first time I used this term was back in the summer of 2014. New York Times had quoted me, and we were really talking about how we're going to get through after 3 casinos are going to close. And I talk about Atlantic City being resilient. We got through the end of Prohibition. We got through the fact that salt air and salt water really didn't cure all of your health issues, and we're going to get through once again. It's just time to turn the next chapter. so much negative publicity about Atlantic City, sometimes you forget that there were some good things that happened in 16 and things. We reduced the city budget by $20 million. We reduced the amount of money that property owners actually pay as part of the city budget. We cut at 374 employees. We reduced 120 vehicles. We defeated North Jersey casino referendum. Bought Blatstein, we opened Showboat. Stockton broke ground along with South Jersey Gas for their corporate office. We're building the boardwalk back to Gardner's Basin for the first time since '44. And a couple of weeks ago, after about 5 years, the beach at South Inlet opened for construction. One Boston is going to be ready to start renting in just a couple of weeks. Morris Guard is next, Tennessee Green. All these are projects that are going on this year, despite the tough year that it was. So this is a commitment, but this is just the way things have to be done. We cut the budget by $20 million last year. You will see that this budget will be cut by at least $20 million this year. It's the only way that we move ahead. The state may be cutting us by even more, but I'm pretty comfortable, and you'll see in a few minutes while we be able to cut $20 million on this budget. And that's the first time in 40 years that we've been cutting the budget. So Atlantic City really doesn't know how to cut money before this time, but it's necessary. At the same time, about $100 million came in from additional funding from the casino industry through CRDA and ACA and increased state aid. If we didn't have that $100 million, it would be picked up by property owners. As bad as it is now, it would be worse. And so again, all we've done is raised the amount of money that's used to pay the budget. But as you can see, we went from $197 million in taxes to $128 in 15 and $123 last year. And less this year is the amount of property taxes that actually are used to pay our budget. So just two charts, simple enough so you can just see real quick that when we talk about a bloated government, we reduced our staff by 30%. We had 1,255 people working for the city. By the spring of this year, we're going to be down to 855. And in terms of salaries, people that make that $700 an hour or some other figure and stuff talk about how Atlantic City salaries are too high. Look at what's happened over the last 5 years. Average city employees were making $100,000 5 years later. In addition to 30% not working for the city, the ones that are working are making 24% less, about $74,000. Now, I'm going to do 3 slides and then I'll leave them alone. But I do want to recognize our police and fire because I think they are the best responders in New Jersey. Would you please stand up? Give them a round of applause. Police and fire. No, you guys stay. Thank you very much. So I'm going to just use 2 slides. I'm not going to beat home the point. But I want to tell you that the police and the PBA and the senior officers and the fire department and their administration and the IFF are part of the solution, not part of the problem. I'm going to start first with our police department. I just want to show you some numbers because, unfortunately, I listen to the radio, I hear a lot of incorrect information. A year before we even had the referendum on casino gambling, we had 293 officers. It rose to about over 400 officers in the 90s. It was at 330 when I became mayor, and now thanks to the chief, we're at 285. It's right-sized, it's not oversized. And I want to tell you that in the 4 years, as you talk about them not doing anything and them just taking salaries home, they cut $5.4 million from their budget. That's just the police department. And the agreement that they had, the collective bargaining agreement that we're still waiting for the state to approve, has all that things in it. Cops start at 45. They have to wait 15 years to get to 90,000. There's no more boat checks. There's no more education pay. There's no more longevity. The way that we reduce cost in police and fire is hopefully with the IAFF and the PBA, who met as late as last Friday with the state senate president, is the EOI with the state agreeing what they said to do, and that was to pick up the pension part of those that we can retire. And you'll see year after year a $7.2 million savings between police and fire. Great, next slide. And so I want to talk about the same thing with fire. You know, in 75, before you had any casinos, all these high-rises and everything else, you had 300 firefighters. Now we're down to 226. And of that, 84 come from the SAFER grant. So if someone wants to cut 100 firefighters, the first 85 you lose, we weren't paying for. You just have 85 fewer firefighters here. Same thing. This is the actual numbers that they work for. They start at 40, they max at 8, takes them 10 steps, no more boat checks, just like the police. Same thing as the police items go. What I want to say about the fire, and I'm not an expert in fire or police, but you have to listen to the people, which is, I put it up, the NFPA 1710. You can go on Google and you can see that these are the experts on what a city needs in order to fight fires. And just two quickies, it means you got to get 15 firefighters to a fire within 4.5 minutes of the time someone calls 911, and for high occupancy, you got to get 43 firefighters within 10 minutes. This is the standard that the entire country uses. When you don't have that, you're going to lose the home. And just as important, you're going to see your insurance rates double, triple, or quadruple, because it's all based on this national standard. 3,600 calls is what our firefighters went through. And what you may not know is in the last 5 years, the firefighters are now saving lives by bringing Narcan for people that have OD'd, that have died. They're bringing them back to life, and they're there with the defibrillators. And because there are 6 firefighters, it's not that they're better drivers, but they're the first ones to the scene. And that's why we need to be supporting our police and fire. Do we need to get some more cuts? No question about it. But we do that by working with IAFF, with PBA, with our wonderful police and fire chief. So I'll get off on my bandwagon on public safety. Let's talk about some other items. Another slide. That's great. So you'll see at least 55 more reductions this year. We're hoping to privatize trash, recycling, and Kellyak. We bid it out, the county, the city, to private haulers. It saves $1.2 million a year by going with the lowest qualified bidder. We need to get city council and the local finance board to approve that. We're already moving ahead with city payroll services, saving a couple $100,000. We need to get local finance board to approve that. Tow lot operations, have the bid, save a couple $100,000. Again, need city council and local finance board to approve. Last item's a big one. About 60 people that work for the city are going to retire, early retirement. They're going to be leaving us because their pensions are not high, the payments. It'll save money for us to let them retire early, and probably about 30% are not going to be replaced, so it's going to be additional savings. Next slide. One of the things is, I told you about how we're going to save money. You also have to have new revenues coming in. Parking meters, new properties coming in as taxes, and then, of course, new services that planning development are working on for beach and beach leases. Next slide, please. So I just wanted to give you a quickie on the first shot of how we're going to save $20 million. Our bonded debt, we retire about $60 million this year. That's going to save over $10 million. And then we're only counting half a year for police and fire retirements. Again, the state has to support us with that, but even if we retire them at July 1, you'll still save $3.6 million. That's really the $20 million that we're trying to save. Try to figure out how this works. Wow. So, just to point, everyone's trying to work. I got to thank the unions, and I got to thank all of our directors and all of our employees and stuff. We don't have the cool health plan we had last year, but we're saving $1.2 million. We don't have the same pharmaceutical plans that we had last year, but we're saving another $1.2 million on that. The amount of revenue we took in, about $800,000 more this year than last year. And by the way, I'm going through the slides quickly. All of this will be loaded up on our internet by the end of today, but if you want it sooner, like right after this meeting, just let Chris Filicello know, and he'll give you a copy of this. City-owned properties, we sold a lot of lots. Most of them weren't buildable, but it's $1.7 million that's coming in as property tax. We sold both the Garden Pier and the volleyball courts, bought in another $5 million, saved $300,000 just by having the Gardeners Basin take care of their own management and their transportation. Then, whoops. Creating new jobs, South Jersey Gas, looking forward to the 167 jobs they'll be bringing with their corporate office, Atlantic City Call Center with 50 jobs, and En route Computer Solutions. 43 of those jobs are coming from another town in Atlantic City, but there's 38 is new and 43 are retained. So there's 38 new jobs. The reason I pointed this out is the $99,000 average salary. So this is where what we have to do to create an environment that your children, when they get back from undergraduate, graduate school, that they're going to be able to afford to live here, pay the taxes, all those sorts of things. I also want to talk about the mayor's job placement program. Less than 2 years, MEJTP, along with the Atlantic City Chamber of Commerce, we've been able to place 612 people in jobs. 368 were from Atlantic City. It's done through City Hall. 220 of these were displaced from casinos. Eric Reynolds, it's his birthday today. I told him I wasn't going to tell you how old he is because he asked me that. So I can only say that it's monumental, and he's not 50, 60, or 80. So happy birthday. Happy birthday, Eric. Okay, so resiliency, energy, real important. I'm big on new ways of energy, and in this case, it's saving money as well. All of these we've applied for grants, and I can tell you that we now have the full funding to do all of the lighting in Atlantic City. So 2017, you'll see all the lights switched over to LED. It'll give you a lot better lighting at about half the price. And then we're working on doing solar at Duck Island as well as some of our buildings. And the other items there, we've applied for grants. We get them. We're going to move ahead with these as well. And then, of course, shared services. This is just waiting for local finance board, the state to approve. But we have an agreement. The county can save us $1.1 million on senior transportation, Meals on Wheels, and health services. We can begin as early as February 1. This is how we're going to save some money. We're in talks now with the Special Improvement District. The talks right now is for them to take over the half of the city-owned parks that they don't maintain now. They'll be able to do it for half of the cost that we're doing it for, and it'll bring it up to standards I think we'll all be very satisfied with. I also want to let you know that we're meeting with other municipalities on Absecon Island, with Ventnor and Margate and Longport, including Brigantine and Pleasantville, because we're trying to find out what shared services these communities can have. And I can tell you right off the bat, Brigantine and Ventnor is going to be using the elevator inspectors from IBW with Atlantic City. So we'll be getting some additional income, and they'll have no cost. They'll just get money from the permitting fees there. We're looking to do the same thing with building code inspections, and right now we're actually vetting the cooperative vehicle maintenance services, but there's no reason why all of our communities can't be using the same maintenance or service for our vehicles. And it's all in terms of trying to provide the same or better services at a lower cost. Neighborhoods. Want to go back to the police department. You know, for I guess about 20 years, we were kind of drilled in that the concept of broken windows solve problems, but I think as you went through, cops arresting people for jaywalking have nothing to do with drug dealers and things. Our city, I'm proud to say, our police department is only one of, I believe, 7 in the nation that's moving to risk terrain monitoring, and this is how they're doing things. Ducktown area had called the police. They came in, they met with the people that live and work in Ducktown area. They increased the lighting, they increased code enforcement, they did construction violations, they brought in additional police. Sid helped with ambassador service there. We made 100 arrests, and we ended up returning 5 or 6 blocks of the city back to the neighbors. And that's what the police department's going to do, neighborhood by neighborhood, block by block. That's how we get our city back. We have 50% of the streets paved. You know, one of the things I'm proud of is we haven't had any money. That's the one thing as mayor. I didn't have money or people, but I wanted to do projects, and so resiliency really means being creative. In this case, it's CRDA, it's South Jersey Gas, it's state and federal grants, but if you complained about the city being bloated with employees, you certainly complained about the conditions of the roadway, and more than 50% of the streets have now been paved just in the last 3 years, more than in the last 10 years, and you'll see additional 10% of the city being paved in 2017. Next slide, please. Then I want to talk about a couple areas. Texas Avenue Playground. You can't drive by that you don't see kids playing there. Unfortunately, a little more than a mud field. Didn't have the money to turn it into artificial turf. Luckily, the Embassy of United Arab Emirates, as they're driving by to a casino, saw the spot and was able to provide the funding for that project that you see now being very successful. Along with Texas Avenue, could you do next slide? You know, this one, I want to tell you, it's either 10 or 12 years ago, I was with the Special Improvement District, and we were taking care of bringing up the landscaping in the parks. And we didn't have anything to do with capital improvements, but the conditions of the basketball courts were deplorable. And I remember writing a letter to the mayor saying, you got to do something about it. Well, unfortunately, we didn't do it then, but with CDBG grants and about $175,000, all 9 basketball courts in the city have been completely renovated and resurfaced. And then I want to tell you about Altman Field. Beautiful park at the end of Pacific Avenue. Unfortunately, we lost it in Sandy. Thanks to some CDBG money, we were able to completely restore the Altman Field Park. In the same way, Chelsea Heights, about 5 years ago, we promised we'd get out there, take care of the mud, put down a artificial turf field, and that's exactly what we were able to do for people in Chelsea Heights, dedicated it this summer. And then there's 2 parks I'm real proud of coming up in 2017. There's land behind the Boys and Girls Club and also in back of the James Ushery Daycare Center. And we're going to be able to spend $615,000. That project is under construction right now, so it'll be ready this summer. And fittingly, City Council has agreed to rename it the Redenia Gilliam Mosey Park for the wonderful work that Redenia did with the Boys and Girls Club. This park, I came here in 1989, and it was an embarrassment in 1989. Brown is the name of the staff sergeant, the first African-American to die in World War II, and we know the condition of Brown Park. Unfortunately, by the time I became mayor, there's no money for this park. So I got to thank Elizabeth Terenak in particular, who was able to save a little bit of money, $10,000, $50,000, $100,000 from all the other projects, and then along with the Housing Authority and AC DEFCO making 2 contributions, you'll see that Browns Park is now under construction. Councilman Shabazz, this is his baby because it's in his area. It's a disgrace not to be an exciting park because it's between the 2 major housing projects that we have, both the schoolhouse apartments and Stanley Homes. So that's exciting, and we look forward to substantial completion for Memorial Day in rededicating this to Staff Sergeant Harold Brown as a wonderful memorial. And then the neighborhoods. Maybe 4 or 5 months from now, we're going to wake up on that full moon, on the one time of the month when it's high tide and the streets aren't going to be flooded in the back. And that's thanks to a $12 million project, this Baltic Avenue Canal, but about 70% of the city is actually going to avoid flooding with this project. It worked for about 50 years. We lost it in the '62 nor'easter, and we'll have it back working again this summer. Also, there's a photo on the bottom. I mentioned LED before. Just take a look. You know, that's before and after. If you go down to like beach blocks on Florida, on Bellevue, on Texas, you'll see the amount of lighting. It's half the price. The bulbs last 22 years instead of 6 years, and it provides a great white light. Ducktown's completed. Thanks to CRDA funding, the whole boardwalk's completed. And as I mentioned, we have now funding for the 8,000 lights that belong to Atlantic Electric and the 3,000 lights that belong to the city. We'll start on the north side. We'll work our way back. This is going to make a big difference in helping crime, making people feel safe, especially on the west side and the north side. And then in Bungalow Park, just a $400,000 grant from the federal government, clean up the old inspection station that some of you might remember on Maryland Avenue, and then the lot that's right there on New Jersey and Melrose. That'll be in 2017. And then back to Chelsea Heights. Unfortunately, you're not going to get happy until 2019, but in 17, we'll bring you the plans of what about a $10 million project for some bulkheading will do. It'll be engineered in 18, and it'll be under construction for 19. I love to bicycle, if you don't know that. I mean, I'm a warm weather bicyclist, so it's May through October, but I bicycle from my house all the way down to the Margate border, about 12 miles round trip every day, and it gets me to be able to see that the boardwalk's clean, the trash trucks are out, that the beach is being cleaned. I can wipe my finger on a urinal and figure out whether or not the urinal was steam cleaned the night before, and that's before I start my day at work. But I also think bicycling is cool just to bicycle as well. If you've been on Maryland Avenue, it seems like an anomaly because there's a bike path, but it only goes for a mile. But you'll be happy to know as the boardwalk is finished, City Council last year, off-season allows you to bicycle, except for the casino zone, 24 hours a day. As we get up to Gardner's Basin, you'll be able to come out where Gilchrist is, get over to Connecticut Avenue, and it'll be a complete circle. So a nice, safe family environment of 3 miles, you'll be able to bicycle. It'll connect to the Maryland Avenue bikeway. And the reason that's important is it brings you back right here to Golden Nugget. You can visit the Coast Guard station, then you can go underneath the Brigantine Bridge. You connect to the beautiful docks that's at Harrah's, and then the beautiful nature trail that's behind Borgata, and come right back with no traffic. So bicycling, important for the environment, for the energy. Tell me to talk faster, Gary. I can't talk any faster. We also have improvements that you'll see on Atlantic Avenue. Thanks to the residents and businesses, they came up with new designs for sidewalks, for crossroads, for lighting, and you'll see that starting on the 1700 block this year, and the next year will be the 1800 block. And then, you know, education is the only way that we're going to solve poverty in this city, I would say in the United States. It's not housing, it's not food stamps, it's being able to provide the skills so people have a good job. You're not going to get into college if you can't finish high school. You're not going to finish high school unless you're at the math and reading level in 4th grade of the rest of the state, and you're not going to get there unless you have the help to get into a preschool program. So I'm thrilled. For 50 years, Head Start has been a successful way to get kids graduated from high school. We have a $21 million beautiful facility just a block from the City Hall that is almost completed. So we're looking for this to be opening up this year. I think it's ironic because it sits on the old unemployment office. So we didn't give people the skills they needed to maintain a job, so we gave them a check when they lost a job. This makes a whole lot more sense. Let's give the kids the skill and the opportunity to have a great life with the right educational program. And again, part of resiliency is the creativity. So, I could have been a pastor because all I do is beg because I don't have the money, but begging is good. You're looking up there at $100 million of money that comes from everybody other than taxpayers doing all sorts of projects in the city. I do want to tell you, if you don't know this, you should go to this website. Planning and Development has put it together, 2 different wonderful websites. One tells you about all of the grants from the state, the federal government, and the city on how you should come here and open up a business and what kind of funding is available. Then it tells you all the projects that are going on as well. It's somewhat interactive. You can fill out some forms now right online, so you don't have to download and print them and come in to City Hall. So check it out today. And then I want to tell you, I have them listed here. We're going to show you a couple of the slides. Just go down to stay there, Chris, but the last one is RAD. It's from HUD. It's a discussion all by itself, but the federal government has now realized that they need to put a lot of money in some of our affordable housing and some of our workforce housing. And so there's up to $200 million that's available for Atlantic City. It would give you the opportunity to completely rebuild Stanley Homes and Busby Villages. All of those, not losing anything. Yeah. It's Stanley Homes, Busby Villages built before 1940. Franklin Delano Roosevelt built these places there. They're neighborhoods that should be good neighborhoods with all new housing that's designed for 2017. They will be. It also will give you enough funding for the Housing Authority to completely renovate Jeffries, Inlet Tower, and Shore Park. So RAD is where we need to go for the residents of Atlantic City. Thanks. Next. If you haven't seen it, this is great housing. This is what affordable housing can look like. It doesn't have to be garbage, and people don't deserve to live in lousy housing. Look at Route 30, come on in there and stuff. 89 units, Conifer Project, the Meadows. Beautiful housing, porches in front and back, lots of green space. This is how everyone should be able to live. Tennessee Green, it's going to be workforce housing under construction now. It'll be available by the end of this year. Another great project. And I put down the New York Avenue Armory. So this is on New York Avenue between Pacific and Atlantic. The reason I'm so excited is the same people that took One Boston, which is right on O'Donnell Park and Atlantic Avenue, converted it. I believe next week they're going to actually start leasing it out. They're going to be turning their attention to this wonderful old armory. You'll see 30 lofts that'll be developed there, along with 6 businesses on the first floor. So another nice project that isn't the monumental. Of course, this is the big one. I have to credit Wasim and his dad, Omar Barai. They have turned around New Brunswick. They're doing the same thing in Newark. They are good urban builders, and they broke ground about 3 weeks ago for this project, which is in front of the Showboat. 250 units. It's market rate housing, but 20% of that will be set aside for affordable. So mixed housing, the way housing should be all over this country. It's coming soon. Just go back to that slide for a minute, Chris. I just wanted to show you, this was actually the inside courtyard, so you get the idea. 2 stories, the bottom story is actually parking, and then you have the pool and all of the landscape on top of that. And then this one's a little bit premature. The guy sitting here now, he's like probably looking down and said, you promised you wouldn't show that, so I wouldn't mention your name. But he has the funding, he has the design, he bought the property. We need to go through the permitting. But if you're in Atlantic City, you want a full-service car wash, you got to go out on the mainland. So this will serve Atlantic City, Margate, and Ventnor, right on Albany Avenue. It's not just the big projects, it's the small projects. We need the ma and pa to have faith and to have hope in Atlantic City. This is how we move forward, and this is the type of services that we need. If you haven't been up there, lots of construction going on. In July, it looked like we never had a boardwalk above the former Revel and stuff. It just was dunes. If you look now, it's actually being decked. So that's going to be ready by Memorial Day. The length of the ocean and coming around the inlet, down to Oriental Avenue. And then you see the bulkheading and the rock jetties that are going between Oriental to take you back to Atlantic Avenue. The Army Corps says that their schedule is to have that open for July 4th. So it really, truly brings you right around to where the flagship is, and then a straight one, not on the boardwalk, but on the promenade to Caspian Avenue, and then across to Gardner's Basin. Once the boardwalk is done, friends over at the flagship are planning to put this beautiful entertainment and observation deck. It'll handle 300 people, outdoor dining, giving you great views of the inlet and the ocean. If you were worried about the beaches, because we had 2 nasty winter storms this year, we have a $12 million project that'll start in the spring. So we'll have wide beaches once again for this summer. Free beaches, you know, I can tell you, Mayor Triano down in Wildwood and I welcome you to beautiful free beaches on the Jersey Shore, the only 2 that's left in Atlantic City and Wildwood. So just about the little stuff that isn't a reason to come in all by yourself, but it's a reason to be here. You have Jose Garces going to open up a great experience to Tropicana. Michael Simon's coming to Borgata. If you haven't been on top of the Clara, just incredible view of the ocean and boardwalk and the skyline. And now a Radisson Hotel. If you're a Caesars guy, Caesars girl, if you're a foodie, you know who Betty is. I'm telling everyone else now, Caesars now has a Betty's back room. If you like 2825 from Chef Vola's, that's the kind of food you're going to find at Betty's, the type of service there. And then we're happy, switch back, Chris, so I can still read it, but we got a little water distillery that had the soft opening. I know I've been to a party there. I thought it was fabulous, although rye is something I think my parents drank in 1950, but you can get used to it real quick. They're going to be adding a brewery right next door and an outdoor beer garden. The Walt Brewery's out of Reading right now, but they're going to be on the other side of the building opening up for this summer. If you live on the mainland, one of these things doesn't make any sense to you. You live in Atlantic City, we haven't had a full-service pharmacy for a real long time. So it's great to be welcoming Rite Aid, who opened up about a month ago in front of the old Hilton downtown. And then I got to thank the Doherty family, bringing us great food for over 100 years. I think this is the 4th generation, 5th generation getting prepared to take it over. They didn't ask any money from the city or CRDA or the federal government. Couple $1 million, triple the size, kept that warm feel. And all I can tell you is in the summertime, if you don't get there by 4:30, you can't get to the bar. So for the Doherty family, thank you very much on expanding your product and having faith in Atlantic City. Resorts, of course, opened up this year. If you haven't been there, fabulous new event center and conference center that they had opened up. If you haven't been to the beach bar, you think you're in Brazil, or at least Miami Beach. That's a pool that's actually on the beach. It's bungalow. The Danulis family and Dino did a great job. That's the type of what we're looking for the future of Atlantic City. Harrah's, of course, their first full year with the Waterfront Conference Center. I think I've opened 30 or more conventions and conferences there in the last year, and it's playing to rave reviews, so congratulations to Caesars. And then, so this one is a tough one. Chris had said, are you really going to talk about Borgata? So a lot of people think that me and Tom Balance are enemies, but this is what happened. It's kind of like your fraternity brother. You borrowed $20, and then you didn't pay him back, and it's real awkward, and you don't talk to him, you don't drink beer with him anymore and stuff. Same thing with me and Tom, except I owe the guy $150 million, and I think it's growing by 1,000 or 10,000 every hour, every day because of interest. But I know when I pay this guy back the $150 million, we'll be chugging beer again. So, that's the truth with me and Tom. Although Tom can give you his version, which may not be as amusing as mine. But I do want to tell you, Borgata continues to leave the city. So they eventually will pay the most taxes once again, which we'll be happy with. They employ the most people. They provide a wonderful experience. MGM now has taken over the management. but if you haven't been to their outdoor pool, you think you're in Miami Beach. Great beer garden as well, brand new buffet, and they're back on top of the charts with a fabulous nightclub reincarnation. So thank you for your new facilities and keeping Borgata very proud. And so, you know, this is the bigger projects, and this is real important in things. Atlantic City doesn't become a real city that you want to live and work for until we have a higher education. And having Stockton come here as a university, nothing better than that. And I'm so thrilled. Yeah. Next slide. Try next slide. And I just want to tell you, I'm thrilled because I'm working with Harvey. Harvey went to college 1971 on the original classrooms of Stockton, which was on the boardwalk on Tennessee Avenue, the old Mayflower Hotel. He did his student teaching at Atlantic City High School, the old high school on Albany Avenue. So he really isn't building anything here, he's just simply coming home. And he's thrilled about being part of it, and I see Stockton being part of the fabric. I'll talk about why it's more important than just a university in a minute. $186 million project. That's, of course, both South Jersey Gas headquarters, as well as the dormitory and the academic building and the parking as well. And they'll end up with 300 jobs between retail and the college. This is what I'm talking about of why it's so important to have Stockton. You're not going to see this in 17 or 18, but this is now for the first time on the planning stages with the state of New Jersey. The state wants to have a coastal research center and a center for marine and environmental services. And DEP wants a marine water quality lab that'll serve as incubators for private sector officers. So this is the concept of resiliency, new projects that have to do with the ocean or with fish and wildlife. $50 million project, 50,000 square feet, about 15 acres. It'll be 100 full-time jobs, but it'll bring Atlantic City to that stage that we're back into resiliency, and we're doing something more than just tourism. We're concerned about the ocean and oceanography, and all of a sudden, all of those subjects that a kid would take in college are going to become relevant. This is what a true university does, more than just doing the wonderful job of continuing education, but we're creating an environment that helps the community as well. So we're looking to partner with Stockton and the state of New Jersey, and we hope to see this in 19 in Atlantic City. And finally, I don't want to miss the special events, because even in bad times, Atlantic City throws great parties. So fireworks, Tropicana, I got to thank you guys for the weekly fireworks. Did a great job. Everyone loves that. Happy to let you know Boxing City Hall of Fame, Councilman Frank Gilliam is working with the group to bring that to Atlantic City in the last weekend of May, and then a permanent site at the Claridge as well. We're talking about bike-a-thons. If you'd like, you can join me for another year. It's only 65 miles. We start about 6 o'clock in the morning in Philadelphia, and we bike to Atlantic City. We raise a whole lot of money for the Cancer Society. We'll have the Redwood Rally expanded to 2 days. We'll have the Pro Watercross Tour coming back to Atlantic City. National X-Ball League, the Red Bull Surf, the triathlon, of course, the Chamber of Commerce, and the largest event in South Jersey with 500,000 people coming back for the air show. Thanks to Steve, we'll be back with inviting the Ironman back for the second year in September. We have certainly the exciting programs. We had 3,000 kids for Halloween and Winter Wonderland, and that's how we really grow Atlantic City. It's the special events that bring people here and show them a good time. And so finally, I just want to talk about what I think is going to be the new vision maybe for what the different groups are doing. How do we get businesses? We've got a core of casinos that are doing well now. We need to make sure that they continue to do well, that we support them. And now we've got to do the things that they're not doing. So what do people want to do? Whether it's an observation wheel, 22 stories over at Steel Pier, or whether it's additional dining or distilleries. What do we do to help people have a good time here? And we want to let you know, we got a 5-year tax abatement with the city. CRDA is working on the entire boardroom. We have NJEDA with special grants for businesses, paying you for every employee that you create for up to 10 years. And of course, we see CRDA and working as a developer's role, and developers building high standards, union quality, prevailing jobs that come with the work that we want to do. So what's the definition of resiliency? It's going to be Atlantic City. I want to, yep. So in closing, next slide. I want to thank you for the best job that I ever had. I love coming to work every day. I know you think I'm crazy and things like that. It absolutely is the most challenging job, but it's one of those jobs that I feel the rest of my life has prepared me for. I've taken you on a journey. In some cases, I've dragged you on this journey. There has been a lot of pain as we make this transition, but it's a transition we must make in order to be better. We've started this new chapter in Atlantic City, and in the coming months, I'm going to be going back to the voters of Atlantic City and certainly asking them to allow me to serve a second and final term so I can complete this chapter and this vision for Atlantic City. I want to thank all of you for coming today. I want to thank you for what you do in your careers. So whether you're hiring people or simply buying food and products in Atlantic City, or you're paying taxes, creating jobs, I want to thank you. It's what we all need. I just need to convince you that Atlantic City is the place to be. And we want to be that great place, and we can, but we've got to get through this transition. We've got to bring our costs down. We've got to work with the state, honestly, at least for another year until he leaves on January 20th, and we get a new governor that might love Atlantic City again. So, so that's not even a prediction. I don't care who you like this governor, they're going to like Atlantic City and me better than the current guy. So we know we've got to get through another year. I would be foolish if I said last year was such a bad year that this is going to be good. This is going to be a challenging year. I want to tell you that we're up to that challenge. If you work for Atlantic City, thank you. If you work in the private business, thank you for your commitment to reinvesting in Atlantic City, creating jobs, paying taxes, volunteering, making this a better place to live. Hope to all of you, your loved ones, your friends and family, that 2017 is a great year, good health, prosperity, and a good time. John and Gary and Alex, thank you very much for allowing me to again address everyone. Have a great year.
On behalf of the MBCA, we want to thank Mayor Guardian for coming and presenting at the annual unofficial State of the Union. So Mayor Guardian, thank you. Gary would like me to remind all city council members and city directors to stay after for their annual Gary Hill photo. That concludes today's luncheon. And again, we want to thank the staff, the wait staff of the Golden Nugget. Thank you so much. Off again. Your centerpieces are provided by Chester's Plants and Flowers. Those who have the shortest middle name, you get to keep them. We want to remind the March 13th March Mixer at Budokan and sponsored by our